Hello, my Italian food fanatics. Today, we're going to make a very special dish. It's Branzino, or Mediterranean sea bass, al Cartoccio, which basically means in a parchment paper, or en papillote is what they call it in French. It's a classic way of serving fish, and you'll see we're going to have some Fergola in there. We're going to add some tomatoes, some olives, some capers, some hot pepper. We're going to put a little bit of fennel in there, some tarragon, and a fresh Branzino fillet. Put it in the oven, 15 minutes at 400 degrees, and oh boy, is it good. You saw me in the beginning of the video cut it open. It's gorgeous. Anyway, I don't want to waste your time. Let's get into the kitchen and do this. But before we do, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe. Subscribing costs you nothing at all. So subscribe. Hit the bell button so you know when I release another video. And I want you to know when I release another video. I want you to come back and watch more and learn and participate. I want you to please leave a comment down below and share with your friends. Sharing is caring. Okay. Enough of the commercial. Let's get in the kitchen and let's make this beautiful preparation of Branzino and Fergola. Oh, it's going to be so good. Our Branzino dish can be made in two parts. This part is the make-ahead part. We'll use Fergola, which is basically pasta that has been toasted, okay? And it's been cut up into these pellet-like shapes. And toasted. That's why it's called Fergola. We're going to cook this like we would ordinary pasta in salted boiling water until it's al dente. When it is done, we'll drain it and we'll add some grape tomatoes that we will have, some capers. We're going to use some lemon zest and the juice of a lemon. We'll add some Kalamata olives, which I will quarter. We're going to use some red peppers that I will slice very, very finely. We'll use fennel. This is leftover, and so we'll shave that very, very fine. And we'll also use some scallions that I'm going to slice on the bias. So let me get all this taken care of, and we'll go to the stove and boil the Fergola. All right, so we have our water. It's come to a boil. It's 4 cups in our sauce pot. I add exactly 2 teaspoons of regular table salt. We're going to let it dissipate, and we'll add our Fergola in there. And we are going to cook this for about 10 minutes. Different types of Fergola or different manufacturers will have their own times, but about 10 minutes is right. So we'll come back when these are al dente, and we'll drain them and place them in a bowl and add our accoutrement. Okay, we have our bowl of Fergola. I have just taken it out of the hot water and put it through a sieve and cooled it down just a little bit. I think it's important also that you do taste what Fergola and each individual item tastes like, so that when you're putting something together, you understand the components of a dish. Most people don't taste Fergola on its own, but if you do, you'll see how its mouthfeel affects you, and also the actual toasting of the pasta itself and what that tastes like. It's absolutely delicious. So what we'll do is we'll add in our scallions. We'll add in our capers, our grape tomatoes, olives, lemon zest, and we're also going to add in lemon juice. So let me get this squared away here. We'll add the juice of the entire lemon, because when it goes to be cooked with the fish, it's going to add that extra acidity that we want. Okay, so acidity is going to come from a variety of things, which are not only the tomatoes, but also our lemon juice and our lemon zest. Now, I'm not going to add any salt, and the reason for that is because we have capers and olives, and also salt was used in the water to boil the fregola. But what we are going to do is add in a little bit of olive oil, just like that, to lubricate everything. We mix it up, and we're ready. So this can be made a few hours in advance or at any time that you want. In fact, I'm making it just prior to actually putting the dish together, but you can make this in advance and keep it in the refrigerator. If you've heard the beep, you realize that perhaps you realize that I have the oven. It has been heated now to 400 degrees, which is exactly what we want. Now I'll turn our attention to the Branzino fillets. All right, here are our Branzino fillets. They have been scaled already and quite nicely cut out, if I don't say so myself, except for a couple of these bones that will have to be cut out. And these can be trimmed just a little bit. You don't want to take too much away, because not only is the fish, especially the sea bass, the Mediterranean sea bass on the West Coast, is very expensive because of the cost to bring it here. So you don't want to take too much away. But look, that's perfect right there. In fact, we can just cut just a little bit right there on the edge and clean this up. I mean, just a tiny bit. There's really nothing to clean off. And let's see, right here, we can also take this, see that bone there? We can take this away. I'll do that, I'm going to do this off camera. Well, here, let's see. Let's do this here now. It's a little bit easier. That way we get all the bones out, and nobody has to really worry about anything. Let's go trim this here. We'll trim just a tiny bit on the tail right there like this. And we'll get this again right about there and make it nice and make a clean edge. All right. Let me just take one more look. And it looks like it's ready to go. This is very, very nice. And now we will turn our attention to salting the Branzino fillets just a little bit. All right, I've cleaned up the area. We have a little bit of salt here, and we don't want to put too much, believe it or not, because we already have, remember, a lot of salt in the fregola, which we're going to cook with it. So we salt both sides, not liberally, just a little bit, all right? This is kind of a larger grain, so it's less than what it looks like. So now we're going to leave our fillets here, and let me remove this. We'll now turn our attention to the parchment paper, because we are going to cook it in the parchment paper, and I'll be back in a moment. All right, here we have our parchment paper. Now, I always buy a little bit thicker and a nicer parchment paper because I want it to hold up under most conditions. Now, a lot of people will cut this, will fold it in half, and then cut a heart shape out of it. I think that's a waste of time, to be honest with you. So what we'll do is just leave it here like this. We're going to oil the inside of the parchment paper where the fish is going to be, which is going to be in this area and in this area as well. All right? Very simple. Nothing too complicated. And if you're using a very thin parchment paper, doing this is imperative, not only on the one side, but on both sides. It will stop the parchment paper from burning in the oven. That's another reason why it pays to get something that's a little bit more expensive, but a little bit more sturdy. I'll be back. We'll put the fregola on and the other accoutrement and cook this off. Okay, we're ready to assemble our dish. First and foremost, you got to know where the dividing line is. So we're going to assemble most of it right here, because we're going to fold the piece of paper over. If you forgot, I did shave some fennel, so we'll put that down first because I kind of want that to cook a little bit. All right, beautiful. And then I also have hot pepper. Now I'm making this for another person as well, so I'm going to make two. Normally I would put the hot pepper in with the Fergola, but since I'm the only one that's going to be eating the hot pepper, we'll put it on top here like this. Now the Fergola. How sweet it is. Look at that. Look at the beautiful colors and textures. It's just gorgeous. And then we were going to place our Branzino fillet on top like this. And on top of the Branzino fillet, we'll put a sprig of tarragon. But first, we're going to put a little bit of oil on the Branzino on this side, just like that. And then the tarragon leaf, or a sprig of tarragon. Let me remove that one. That leaf is not so nice. And you can also put thyme. You can put literally any herbs. I just had this tarragon here, and I want to utilize it. I don't want it to go bad. Now we're going to fold this over. And starting in the corner here, we're going to fold up. You can't see it very well, but you'll be able to see it right about now. So we're going to fold here, and we want to create a tight seal on the inside. Okay? And we're going to go all the way around. That's the reason why they typically cut the parchment paper into a heart shape, to make this part a little bit easier. But in this case, I'm not really too concerned. We can do this. You don't really have to go through all that extra trouble, and then you're throwing parchment paper in the garbage, and it makes no sense. So this is it. All right, now if done properly, this will seal in, and what will happen is the fish will cook in its own steam within the paper, and it will puff up. So this will now go on a sheet pan or a sheet tray into a 400-degree oven for 15 minutes. In fact, it could go in there for even less time because the fillet is so small. But 15 minutes is good. So we're going to oil the outside here. I've already oiled the bottom of it, so that's not a problem. Just to ensure that it's not going to burn and that everything is going to come out perfectly. All right? So now I'll put this on a sheet pan, and I'll see you in 15 minutes. All right. You can see how puffy that is. That's because the steam actually cooks the fish on the inside this way. Now, the beautiful part about this particular dish is actually opening it up and allowing the steam to come out so that the diner can actually see the fish this way. Now, it may fog up the camera. I'm handicapped here by the microphone and everything, but this is the way it should be done and opened up. Be very careful. You will steam your hands and it will hurt a great deal. But there it is. Look at how beautiful that is. And the smell of the tarragon and the Fergola and the olives and the tomatoes just comes right out at you. That is a beautiful dish. All right, my Italian food fanatics. You saw me cut the paper open. You saw it steam. You saw it all. And now it's time to taste the Branzino in Cartoccio. And actually, it's Branzino al Cartoccio. So let's see how delicious this happens to be. Oh, look at that. Tarragon's my favorite herb. How sweet it is. First, the Fergola. Man, that's good. And the fish just flakes away so perfectly. It's still juicy and delicious. Well, we'll see if it's delicious here. Wow. How fresh can that be? Very, very, it's actually wild caught. So that it's not exactly very mild, but for a fish taste, there's very little fish taste, you know? Oh. Such a mild, delicious flavor. Perfectly seasoned. And eaten with the Fergola, it is out of this world. And the fennel. That is so good. You have to give this a try. You do have to buy parchment paper, but you can do that. You can buy fewer as 25 online. The Branzino, it's a very easy dish to put together. You don't have to be able to fabricate the fish. You can have the fishmonger do that. I actually do the whole fish myself. I cut it and take the fillets off, and of course use the bones to make stock. As you'll see if you watch my video on clam soup or clam soupa, or you can also watch my video on just making fish stock in general, and you will see that exact same carcass from this Branzino fillet. Anyway, before I let you go, because I want to finish this, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, hit the bell button so you know when I release another video. I want you to know when I release another video. Share with your friends. Remember, sharing is caring. And leave a comment down below. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for following my channel, for spending this time with me. You don't know how much it means to me. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a great day. I wish you good health, happiness, and prosperity. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.